I got a text that shattered my world while I was halfway across the globe, knee-deep in a relief mission after a hurricane tore through a small Caribbean island. 8 years of marriage, gone in one cold sentence. I'm done. We're over. My name's Ethan, 35, a humanitarian aid worker with a global NGO. I'd been in the field for months, coordinating food and water drops, when my wife, Sarah, drained our joint accounts, sold our small business, and disappeared with a guy I'd never heard of. The text ended with, "Don't try to find me." I read it standing in the rain, my boots sinking into mud, and typed back one word, "Fine." But Sarah didn't know I'd seen this coming, and she had no clue I'd make sure her betrayal would cost her everything. It was chaos around me, volunteers unloading crates, radios crackling when that text hit. I shoved my phone in my pocket and kept directing the crew. Jake, my teammate, caught the look on my face. "You good, man?" he asked, tossing me a clipboard. "Yeah," I said. "Just some stuff back home." He nodded and let it go. Relief workers know when to back off. Truth is, I wasn't blindsided. 6 months before I deployed, Sarah had changed. Subtle at first. She stopped asking about my missions, started staying late at our eco-friendly coffee shop, Green Brew, a business we'd built from the ground up in Portland. New designer clothes I didn't recognize, a gym membership she never used, a passcode on her phone I didn't know. I'm not the guy who snoops or picks fights without proof, but I'm not dumb either. So I made quiet moves. I backed up all our business records, tax filings, vendor contracts, customer data to a secure cloud drive Sarah didn't know existed. I stashed our marriage license, my passport, and a few keepsakes, like my grandpa's old pocket knife, in a safe deposit box downtown. I also opened a separate account at a credit union and funneled a chunk of my NGO pay there. Not enough to tip her off, but enough to keep me from starting at zero if things went south. The night before I left for the Caribbean, Sarah drove me to the airport. Her hug was limp, her eyes blank. "Stay safe, okay?" she said, like she was reading a script. I nodded, but my gut screamed trouble. In this job, you learn to listen to that voice. Sarah and I met in 2015 at a sustainability expo in Seattle. I was pitching ecotourism projects. She was there hustling for her marketing degree. She was sharp, charismatic, with a smile that lit up the room. We hit it off fast. 6 months later, we were engaged. A year after that, we opened Green Brew, a cozy coffee shop focused on fair trade beans and local art. Sarah ran the branding and social media. I handled operations and community outreach. By 2019, we were breaking even, had a staff of 8, and owned a small storefront. We bought a condo in Portland, 2 bedrooms, a view of the Willamette River. My name was on the mortgage, thanks to AVA loan from my brief Army stint, but I added Sarah to the deed because that's what you do when you're in love. My parents died young, mom to breast cancer, dad to a heart attack, so Sarah was my home. Her family, though, never got me. Her dad was a real estate developer, her brother a corporate lawyer. They thought my aid work was flaky, our coffee shop a gamble. Sarah swore she didn't care, that she loved our life. But cracks formed. She'd gripe about my months away. "I didn't sign up to be a part-time wife," she said once, after I took a 6-month gig in Nepal. I understood. I did. But this work, getting clean water to villages, food to kids, was who I was. I was damn good at it. People counted on me. In 2022, things got weird. Sarah started talking about her friend Lauren, who'd divorced her husband and was thriving in San Francisco. She began staying late at Green Brew, claiming she was meeting investors. She got cagey about our finances, dodging questions with its handled. I suggested hiring a bookkeeper for transparency. She called it a waste of cash. Then came the new phone, lock apps, weekend girls' trips I wasn't invited to. I didn't confront her. My dad always said, "Think before you swing." So I watched, and I prepared. 2 weeks after her text, I was in a tent, reviewing supply logs, when my phone buzzed. A bank alert. Another withdrawal, $87,000, nearly everything left in our joint account. I opened the app. Balance, $14.82. Our savings, $60,000 we'd scraped together, was gone, wired to an account I didn't know. I set my coffee down and stared. Sarah had been siphoning money for weeks, small amounts, then bigger ones. The largest transfers started the day one deployed. I called the bank from a satellite phone that night. The rep said the transfers were authorized, but couldn't share details without a formal inquiry. I hung up, standing in the dark, the hum of generators in my ears. My life was collapsing, and I was stuck 7,000 miles away. That's when Jake found me. "You look like hell," he said, tossing me a protein bar. I don't usually spill my guts, but Jake had pulled me out of a flooded river once. I trusted him. "My wife emptied our accounts," I said. "Sold our business, ran off with some guy." Jake didn't sugarcoat it. "What's your move?" "Not sure yet," I said. He nodded. "You'll figure it out. Let me know if you need backup." I couldn't sleep that night. I opened my laptop and logged into the security system for green brew cameras I'd installed after a vandalism scare. Sarah probably forgot I could access them from anywhere. The footage showed a guy I didn't know behind the counter, using my office chair, sipping from my thermos. Sarah was there, laughing, sorting through our files. A shiny Tesla was parked out front. Something clicked, not rage, but focus. I closed the laptop and made a list. Call Rachel. An old Army buddy turned private investigator. Check the business LLC papers. Review the condo loan terms. Secure my NGO pension. Request emergency leave. This wasn't about feelings anymore. It was a mission. At 5 a.m., I emailed Rachel. Subject, need help. Off the record. Her reply was instant. Call me. Secure line. Rachel had left the military to start a PI firm, specializing in financial fraud. I told her everything. The text, the drained accounts, the footage. "She's not doing this alone," Rachel said. "Send me the cloud drive and camera access. I'll dig." I shared the files. Then I called my NGO supervisor, requesting a week's leave. "Family emergency," I said. She approved it without questions. Rachel called 2 days later. "Your wife's been busy," she said. "The guy in the footage is Derek Holt, real estate broker, shady reputation. He's linked to a string of quit business sales in Portland cafes, boutiques, small startups, sells them cheap to developers. Pockets a cut. Your coffee shop's already listed online. Under market value." I leaned back in my chair. "She sold green brew." "Not yet," Rachel said. "But it's in escrow. And there's more. Your condo's been refinanced. Your signature's on the docs, but it's not yours. She forged it to pull out $150,000 in equity." I took a deep breath. "Where's the money?" "Some's in an account tied to Holt. Some's gone transfers to a guy named Victor Klein, another broker. I'm still tracing it." I sat in silence, processing. Sarah hadn't just left me. She'd orchestrated a heist. "What's my play?" I asked. "You've got options," Rachel said. "The forgery's a felony. The business sale might be fraud if you didn't consent. But you need to decide what you want: justice or just your life back." I thought about it. "I want what's mine," I said. "And I want her to face consequences." Rachel chuckled. "Then we're gonna have fun." I flew back to Portland a week later, landing at PDX without telling Sarah. I checked into a budget motel under a fake name and met Rachel at a diner off I-84. She slid a folder across the table. "Your business LLC is still in both your names, so she can't sell without your sign-off. The condo refinance, though she used a forged power of attorney. Banks already flagged it as suspicious." She pulled out another document. "And this is interesting. Holt's been named as a co-applicant on the refinance. Guy's got a rap sheet to counts of wire fraud, one dismissed embezzlement charge." I scanned the papers. "So she forged my signature, took a loan on our condo, and funneled the cash to this guy. Pretty much," Rachel said. "Busy lady." I drove past our condo the next day. Sarah's car was gone, but a Tesla matching the one from the footage was in the driveway. I parked a block away and watched. Part of me wanted to barge in, demand answers. But that wasn't the plan. Instead, I met with a loan officer at our bank. I showed my ID, my real signature, the forged documents. Her face went pale. "This is serious," she said. "We'll freeze the refinance funds and open a fraud investigation." I nodded. "I've already filed a police report," That night, I got a text from Sarah. Was the bank calling me? What did you do? I didn't reply. The next day, I visited the county clerk's office and filed a notice contesting the refinance due to fraud. I also locked down any changes to the condo deed without my presence. Sarah called that afternoon, her voice shaky. Ethan, we need to talk. The bank's saying the loan's frozen. If this is about the divorce, we can sort it out like adults. Like adults. The same phrase from her text. I let it go to voicemail. Rachel called later. Good news, she said. Holt's been sloppy. He's been driving your company van still in your name. Got pulled over yesterday for speeding. Turns out, he's got a suspended license from a DUI. They impounded the van. I smirked. Anything else? Yeah, she said. Cops found some fishy stuff in the van forged. Lease agreements for your coffee shop, signed with your name. They're looking into it. I leaned back in my motel chair. This was bigger than I'd thought. Part of me wanted to call Sarah, warn her to cut ties with Holt. Old habits. But then I remembered the footage her laughing in our shop, handing our life to a stranger. No. This was her path now. I met with the bank's fraud investigator the next morning, a guy named Thompson, short, with a coffee stain on his tie. This isn't uncommon, he said, spreading documents out. Spouse leaves, sees a chance to cash out. But the forged refinance, that's bold. He showed me the transfers, $120,000 from the refinance to an account tied to Victor Klein. Who's Klein? I asked. Thompson shrugged. Not my department. But your pie might want to subpoena this. I called Rachel. Victor Klein, I said. Run him. An hour later, she had answers. Klein's a front, she said. He funnels money for Holt's deals. They've done this before. Targets small businesses. Owned by people who travel a lot, like you. Buy low, sell to developers. Split the profits. Sarah's either in on it or she's their latest mark. I sat on a park bench, the weight of it hitting me. This wasn't just Sarah screwing me over. It was a scheme. There's more, Rachel said. Klein's linked to 3 other shops in Portland, all sold while the owners were out of town. One was an aid worker like you. I rubbed my face. Other families, other lives torn apart. What do we do? I asked. I've got a contact at the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit, Rachel said. This crosses state lines. Involves fraud on AVA loan. They'll bite. That night, I sat in my motel with a beer, staring at my phone. Sarah texted again. Ethan, please. The bank's talking about fraud. I don't know what's happening. I typed. Who's Victor Klein? 3 dots appeared, then vanished. 10 minutes later, I don't know what you're talking about. I wrote back, $120,000. Condo refinance, business sale. Sound familiar? No reply. I turned off my phone and slept. Rachel called the next morning. FBI's in, she said. They've been watching Holt and Klein for months. Your case gives them a pattern forgery, wire fraud, targeting aid workers. They want to meet. For the first time since that text, I felt a spark of something like relief. Not because I'd won, but because the truth was coming out. I met FBI agents Carter and Lopez at their Portland field office. They took my statement, copied my documents, and recorded everything. Your evidence shows intent, Carter said. Organized, repeated. It's a conspiracy, not a one-off, I nodded. What about Sarah? Lopez glanced at Carter. We're still figuring out her role. Did she ever mention money troubles? Pressure to sell the business, I thought back. She kept saying we were stretched thin, that we should sell Green Brew and start over. I didn't see the point. We were profitable. They asked more questions, took more notes. Carter handed me her card. Don't confront her or Holt. We need this clean. I agreed. That evening, I drove by our condo. Holt's Tesla was back. Sarah's car was gone. My phone buzzed another text from Sarah. Meet me at Waterfront Park. Tomorrow, we need to talk in person. I showed it to Rachel over coffee the next morning. Don't go, she said. She's fishing. Let her sweat. I nodded. But I want to know what she's doing while she thinks I'm meeting her. We parked across from the condo at 9 a.m. At 9:50, Sarah left, heading toward Waterfront Park. 20 minutes later, a car pulled up, real estate logo on the door. Victor Klein. Holt greeted him. and they went inside. "Should we follow?" Rachel asked. I shook my head. No need. I upgraded the shop's cameras last year. Interior and exterior, cloud backup. Rachel grinned. "You didn't mention that. Didn't come up," I said, pulling out my phone. The live feed showed Klein taking photos of Green Brew's interior, Holt pointing out features. I turned up the volume. "List it by Friday," Klein said. "Got a buyer ready." "Cash deal. How much?" Holt asked. $320,000. "We list at $360. They offer $320. Everyone's happy." "What about the husband?" Holt said. Klein waved it off. "He's overseas. By the time he's back, it's done." Rachel was already recording the feed. "This is gold," she said. I forwarded the footage to Agent Carter with a note. "Happening now." 30 minutes later, FBI vans rolled up to Green Brew. From our vantage point, we watched agents lead Holt and Klein out in cuffs. My phone rang. "Carter. Got them on tape planning the fraud," she said. "Conspiracy, wire fraud, forged documents. We'll need your formal statement." I looked down the street. Sarah was pulling up, her face pale as she saw the FBI. "What happens to her?" I asked. "Depends on what she knew," Carter said, "and what you want." I watched Sarah, standing on the sidewalk, hands shaking. 8 years. Good years, at first. Picnics by the river, late nights building the business, her laugh filling our tiny apartment. But that was gone. "I want what's fair," I said. The federal case moved fast. Holt and Klein took plea deals, ratting each other out and exposing a network that hit 6 businesses across Oregon and Washington, all owned by people like me, travelers, aid workers, military. Sarah claimed she was a victim, that Holt had convinced her I was hiding money, planning to ditch her. She said the refinance was his idea, that she just signed where he told her. Maybe it was true, maybe not. She agreed to a settlement, full restitution of the stolen funds, no claim to the condo or my pension, and a signed confession to the forgery. In return, I didn't press charges. The divorce finalized 6 months after her text, clean break, on the day I signed the papers. Carter called. Holt got 7 years for fraud and conspiracy. Klein got 10. "Thought you'd want to know." "Thanks," I said. "One more thing," she added. "Your case cracked their network. For other families are getting their money back because of you." I hung up, sitting on the balcony of a rental apartment, watching the city lights. I hadn't set out to be a hero. I just wanted my life back. But sometimes, things work out bigger than you plan. A year later, I sold the condo. Too many memories, too much betrayal in those walls. I used the money to buy a cabin in the Oregon Cascades, 2 bedrooms, 10 acres, a creek out back. I took early retirement from the NGO after 10 years. I'd given enough. I got a dog, a mutt named Ranger, and started a small woodworking business, crafting furniture for locals. My pension covered the rest. Sarah, I heard, moved to Seattle, working some marketing gig. Starting over, I didn't hate her anymore, didn't feel much of anything, really. She'd made her choices, I'd made mine. One evening, my phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "I'm sorry, Ethan. I was lost. Can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. A week later, a letter came from a woman in Tacoma. Her husband was a Coast Guard officer, targeted by Holt's crew while deployed. The FBI gave her my name. "You don't know me," she wrote, "but you saved our business. Thank you for fighting when it would have been easier to walk away." I pinned the letter to my fridge. On quiet nights, when the past crept in, I'd read it and remember, something good came from the wreckage, last I heard. Holt and Klein were still behind bars. The system worked, for once. As for me, I'm building something new day by day. Board by board, a life that's mine, solid, untouchable. Sarah showed up at my cabin one rainy afternoon, eyes red, begging for forgiveness. I was wrong. She said, I didn't know what I was doing. I looked at her, soaked and shivering, and felt nothing. "Go home, Sarah," I said, closing the door. Ranger barked once, then settled by the fire, outside. The rain kept falling, washing away the last of her shadow.